There are moments in the tapestry of human history when the threads of logic and reason become frayed, leaving behind gaps in our understanding. These are the spaces where the known world gives way to profound mystery. They are the stories that linger in the footnotes of textbooks, the cold cases that gather dust in forgotten archives, and the whispers that persist long after the headlines have faded. These are not mere puzzles to be solved, but deep, unsettling questions that challenge the very foundations of what we believe to be true about our world and our place within it. They are the events that remind us, with a humbling and sometimes terrifying clarity, that the map of our knowledge is still filled with vast, uncharted territories. We are a species driven by an insatiable curiosity, a relentless desire to illuminate the shadows and to bring order to chaos. From the earliest stargazers charting the heavens to the modern scientists mapping the human genome, our journey has been one of constant discovery. Yet, for every answer we uncover, new questions arise, some so perplexing that they seem to defy explanation. In the vast, silent cathedral of space, humanity has long strained to hear a voice other than its own. We built colossal ears of steel and wire, pointing them towards the heavens, listening for a sign, a pattern, a whisper that might break the cosmic solitude. In summer 1977, at Ohio State University's Big Ear, that vigil was interrupted. For 72 seconds, instruments recorded something extraordinary. A powerful, narrow-band radio transmission stood out like a single clear note in a storm. Jerry Amon reviewed the data printouts days later. He scanned columns of alphanumeric characters. One sequence seized his attention: 6, E, Q, U, J, 5. A dramatic spike in strength. He circled it and wrote "Wow" in the margin. What made it remarkable was structure as well as strength. It matched the expected profile of an interstellar transmission. It was concentrated around 1420 MeV, the hydrogen line. Hydrogen is the most abundant element, a logical universal channel. The signal appeared to come from Sagittarius, but it vanished after 72 seconds. Observatories turned back to that coordinate. For days, weeks, months, years, the sky stayed silent. On the 8th of March, 2014, in the dark, early hours of a calm Saturday morning, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 prepared for a routine journey. The Boeing 777, a marvel of modern aviation. It was scheduled for a 6-hour flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. On board were 227 passengers from all walks of life, and a crew of 12 dedicated professionals. As the aircraft ascended into the night sky, everything appeared normal. The pilots radioed their last, now hauntingly routine message to Malaysian Air Traffic Control. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those were the last words ever heard from the cockpit. Minutes later, as the plane was scheduled to enter Vietnamese airspace, it vanished. It didn't just disappear from one radar screen, it disappeared from all of them. The aircraft's transponder was inexplicably switched off. One moment, MH370 was a predictable blip. The next, there was only an empty space, a void where a plane carrying 239 souls should have been. The silence that followed was immediate, absolute, and deeply unnerving. Confusion escalated into a global crisis. How could a state-of-the-art passenger jet simply cease to exist in the age of constant surveillance and satellite tracking? An unprecedented international search and rescue operation was launched, involving dozens of ships and aircraft. But day after agonizing day, the vast, indifferent ocean offered up nothing. No wreckage, no oil slicks, no distress signals. Then, a sharp turn. 7 hours of satellite pings, a vast arc in the southern Indian Ocean, transforming tragedy into enigma. In the heart of the Ural Mountains, where winter's grip is absolute and unforgiving, a story unfolds that defies easy explanation. It begins in January 1959 with a group of 10 young, vibrant souls, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. These were experienced hikers, led by the capable Igor Dyatlov. Their goal, Otorten, the peak whose name ominously means "don't go there." Photographs and diaries show youthful optimism, camaraderie, and the minor struggles of adventure. Yuri Yudin turned back due to illness, a twist that made him the sole survivor of the original group. February 12th came and went, silence stretched into alarm. On February 20th, a search party was assembled. They found the abandoned tent on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, Dead Mountain. The tent had been sliced open from the inside. Warm clothing, shoes, and supplies left behind, neatly arranged. They fled, some barefoot, into lethal cold. Krivonishenko and Doroshenko lay by a small fire under a cedar. Hands burned, branches broken high, evidence of frantic climbing. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, Slobodin staggered positions, as if succumbing one by one. The cause for these three? Hypothermia. But the scene said, flight, not lost. In May, 4 more were found in a ravine. Dubinina, Kolovatov, Thibaut Brignol, Zolotaryov, better dressed, catastrophic injuries. Crushed chests, skull fracture, Dubinina missing tongue and eyes. The official line, a compelling natural force. Files closed, speculation ignited. Avalanche? Weapons test? Something not of this world? In the late 1960s, a shadow fell over Northern California. Amid peace and love, a cold, calculating violence terrorized the Bay Area. He called himself the Zodiac. December 20th, 1968. David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, murdered. In August '69, letters claimed murders and proved it with hidden details. He sent a 3-part cryptogram, 408 symbols, and demanded publication. A high school teacher and his wife cracked it. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." No name. He called police after attacks, sent more ciphers, some still unsolved. One of the most extensive investigations in American history. Thousands of leads, hundreds of suspects, no arrest. An executioner-style hood during one attack fed his legend. Arthur Lee Allen. Voice ID, Zodiac brand watch, suspicious statements. Yet handwriting, DNA, and prints didn't clinch it. By 1974, his letters ceased. After that, silence. The case became cultural myth. DNA from stamps tested and retested against suspects old and new. In 2021, the casebreakers named Gary Francis Post, FBI remained unconvinced. Case still open. The Zodiac remains a ghost. Letters in lockers, ciphers guarding secrets. A modern myth that keeps us awake at night. Los Angeles, the city of dreams. In winter of 1947, optimism shone. A mother saw what she thought was a discarded mannequin. It was the body of a young woman, an act of unimaginable brutality, identified as 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. The press named her the Black Dahlia. She had been severed at the waist, drained of blood, her face carved into a ghastly smile. A massive LAPD investigation devolved into a media circus, her life dissected and sensationalized. A caller promised to mail her belongings, and did. Birth certificate, social security card, photos, an address book, wiped with gasoline. Mark Hansen emerged as an early suspect among a sprawling cast of characters. Over 150 suspects through the years, each promising lead dissolved. A case designed as spectacle, unsolved, enduring, and haunting. Some mysteries are not found in space or graves. They exist in the air around us, a subtle disturbance on the edge of perception. In Taos, New Mexico, a phenomenon known as the hum took root. A low-frequency drone, persistent, maddening for a select few, real to them, silent to instruments. By the early 1990s, reports coalesced. Consistent accounts across walks of life. Like a distant diesel idling beyond the horizon, felt as much as heard. Pressure in ears, a thrumming in the chest. Scientists from the University of New Mexico and Los Alamos deployed acoustic arrays. Their sensors found nothing anomalous. Technology heard only ambient noise. Hearers suffered headaches, nausea, dizziness, sleeplessness, isolated from neighbors and scientific validation. Theories, pipelines, power grid hums, distant machinery, ELF communications, experimental aircraft, tectonic microvibrations, Neurology itself. Taos, Windsor, Bristol. Localized yet stubborn. The hum forces us to weigh subjective reality against machine truth. Is it an inner ghost or an outer signal? A neurological artifact or a message we cannot yet comprehend? A persistent low-frequency question mark humming on the edge of what we know. On the 1st of December, 1948, the sun revealed an unsettling scene on Somerton Beach. A man in a suit, propped against the seawall, appearing peacefully asleep, but cold to the touch. No signs of struggle, no obvious cause of death. Peak condition, dancer-like calves, organs congested, enlarged spleen, poison suspected, yet no trace found. Official verdict, death by means unknown. Clothing labels removed, fingerprints unmatched, dental records unique. Appeals failed, no one came forward. He carried a train ticket, a bus ticket, gum, and a more expensive brand of cigarettes than the pack. Months later, a hidden fob pocket yielded a tightly rolled scrap, Tamam Shud, Persian for "it is ended," torn from the final page of a rare Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. A copy was found in a car near the beach. On its back cover, a faint code and a phone number. The number led to Jessica Thompson, who reacted with shock to his plaster bust, yet denied knowing him. She had once given a Rubaiyat to Alfred Boxall, alive, with his copy intact, so the Somerton man was someone else. Speculation swirled. Espionage, untraceable poison, indecipherable code. Later DNA suggested a genealogical link to the US. Was he a jilted lover or a silenced spy? The Somerton man remains propped against our memory. His identity, his purpose, and Tamam Shud, finished, and yet unending. In Rio de Janeiro's rugged hills, a kite flyer stumbled upon a scene. Two men lay side by side, dressed in suits and waterproof coats. Each wore a crude lead mask, the kind used to shield eyes from radiation. They were Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana, electronics technicians. They diverted to Niterói, bought raincoats, and climbed Vintam Hill, known for UFO sightings and esoteric rituals. Autopsy found no injuries and no poison. Beside them, an empty bottle, 2 wet towels, a notebook. 1630 be at the agreed place. 1830 ingest capsules, after effect, protect metals, await mask signal. They belong to scientific spiritualists, seeking contact with spirits or aliens through electronics. A leading theory, astral projection. Masks to shield psychic energy. Capsules psychoactive. Others suggest a rendezvous gone wrong, misdirection, and murder by a poison that left no trace. Decades later, the lead masks sit in a museum, artifacts of an experiment, a crime, or a doorway best left closed. Some stories don't end. They simply stop. On a November night in 1971, a man known as D.B. Cooper boarded Flight 305, calmly ordered a bourbon, and passed a note. He claimed a bomb, demanded $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a flight to Mexico City. Authorities complied. Passengers were exchanged, ransom and parachutes delivered. Jet refueled. The jet took off again, with a skeleton crew up front and Cooper alone in back. Between Seattle and Reno, dark, stormy night over the Pacific Northwest. He ordered the crew to remain in the cockpit, lowered the aft air stair, and then he simply vanished. The plane landed. No Cooper, no money, 2 parachutes gone. He stepped off at 10,000 feet, into freezing rain, into night, into legend. A massive manhunt found no body, no parachute, not a dollar. Over 1,000 suspects. DB from a media error. The ticket read, Dan Cooper. 9 years later, a boy found about $6,000 on the Columbia River. Serial numbers matched. Was it washed downstream? Lost mid-jump? Planted for recovery? The breadcrumb deepened the enigma. In 2016, the FBI closed the active probe. The legend didn't. In diplomacy, threats are usually seen. In cables, troops, declarations. In late 2016 in Havana, American and Canadian diplomats experienced something unseen. It would start with a sound, high-pitched buzzing, grinding, a piercing chirp, localized, inexplicable. intense head pressure, nausea, dizziness, debilitating headaches. An attack with no attacker, a weapon with no signature. Medical exams revealed brain injury, like concussion, with no physical impact, as if brains were rattled by an invisible force. Evacuations followed. Similar incidents appeared beyond Cuba, China, Russia, Austria, even near the White House. A sonic weapon? Directed energy? Microwaves? Or RF? Recordings analyzed as engineered signals. No device ever found. Cuba denied involvement. Intelligence conflicted. Meanwhile, victims faced lasting cognitive and balance issues, hearing loss, mental fog. Officers like Mark Polymeropoulos left careers behind, fighting symptoms and skepticism. Psychogenic illness, stress, pesticides, crickets, these struggle against neurologists' findings and global consistency. Havana Syndrome reflects an age of invisible warfare and blurred lines between illness, trauma, and technology, a mystery in the quiet corridors of power, awaiting a diagnosis that remains classified. We are a species driven by the need to know, to connect the dots, to solve the puzzle. It is in our nature, yet the universe does not always yield to our demands for clarity. These are gaps in our understanding, voids in our collective narrative, whispers in cosmic static, a flight's final silence, the terror on a frozen slope. For all our knowledge and technology, we are still surrounded by the profound and perplexing. Ciphers and codes, masks and messages, taunts from the unknown. Unsolved, they become folklore, cautionary tales whispered around digital campfires. D.B. Cooper sipping a cocktail in paradise, or bones lost to a forest floor. Tao's hum, quirk of geology, trick of the mind, the sound of something we're not meant to hear. Havana, first shot in a new war, or a medical mystery born of stress and circumstance? These questions hint at the edges of our reality, exposing the limits of perception and the fragility of certainty. The truth may be buried shallow, sunk deep, or encrypted in a distant signal, or hiding in plain sight, awaiting a new way of seeing. The search continues. The questions remain. What do you think really happened? Tell us your theory.